Hello, I'm Aaron from A Dennis Contracting, and today I'm going to be fitting a DuraPost aluminium gate. Come with me and I'll show you what we're using. Box 1 contains your slam lats and your gate frame. Box 2 is all of your handles and fitting, fixings, everything. Box 3 is your infill, your finished product. Here we have the tools that we recommend, the spirit level for making sure your posts are correct and making sure the top of your gate is level. A hammer, you shouldn't need it, but it's better to have it and not need it. A speed square for your cutting, a drill, a tape measure, some Allen keys and something to cut with, be it I'm using a circular saw, you can use a recip saw, a jigsaw, but a circular saw is the best, preferably with an aluminium blade. So the first thing we're going to be doing is fitting the slams to the posts. My corner posts are already in with the caps fitted. This is the hinge side with a recess all the way down. There's a lip which locates it onto the post and slide up until it meets the cap. I like to use an auto punch to locate my holes to fasten. If you have a drill that's not quite powerful enough to drive the self-drilling screws in, you can use a pilot hole. And now I'm going to put the 4 in, which will prevent the slam from rocking. Another crucial thing to note on these posts is if you look closely, you can see a bead that runs down the post. You can also see it from inside without the cap on. This bead must not be in the line of your gate. Because it is a weld, your fixings will not go through. If you try putting a fixing in, it'll just snap. When doing these outside holes, the washer is bigger than the hole, so you will need to remove the washer. Do not over tighten these or you will snap the head off. For the lock side, we use the slam that has 2 slots in. Make sure you don't over tighten these or you will snap the head off. And now we are going to measure the gap, cut the horizontals and make up the frame. If you are not fastening to a corner post, then you'll need to use some packers. The slam has a lip that is 4mm thick. So put a packer, I like to glue them, glue a packer onto there, which stops the slam from rocking on the surface, and you would use numerous packers or anything else you need to build out the level to get it correct, and then you would put down a bead of sealer to close the gap. Slams are fitted, so now we need the gap that our gate is going to fit into. So we measure from the front edge of the slam, and we have a gap of 838. So our gap was 838, our horizontals need to be 194 less than that, which is 644. So I'm now going to cut the horizontals at 644. One thing to note is one of the horizontals has a trim in which is for the top. Make sure you take this out before cutting, because they can slide and can be cut to the wrong length. So take that out first and cut it later. I like to use a speed square and a circular saw. Put the blade in place with my mark, and the speed square keeps my saw nice and square. So now we are going to fit our corner brackets. We have two different assemblies. The ones with these fittings on are the hinge side, and without the fittings are the lock side. These only go in one way. There is a slot on the horizontal, which there is a wider piece on the corner bracket. Leave these fully assembled until we are ready to fasten them to the verticals. Be careful putting these screws in, as they locate into a hole in the barrel. So make sure you don't drill on an angle. You must drill straight for it to fasten into the barrel. I like to put all three screws in to make sure they locate into the barrel before I securely fasten it. Make sure you put one of each on each side. So I have put the lock side on there. Now I'll put the hinge side opposite. That's one done. Now for the next. So now we are going to fit the horizontals into the hinge side of the vertical. There is a cover strip. I tend to leave it in. If you do take the cover strip out, make sure you refit the strip before you fit the second horizontal. Otherwise, you won't get it back in. The bolts that come out are simply packaging bolts. There is new stress graded bolts in the packet that you will fit. firstly, the metal goes in up to the cover strip. The black plastic guide goes into the vertical. And then your bolts will locate. So now we have these three components fastened together, it is time to put our infills in. Cut your infills the same length as your horizontals. So we're going to cut these at 644. Wind's picked up a little bit, so we've had a tidy up and organise a little. We are now going to put in the infill panels. So we've already taken the plastic off these, but before you do, make sure they are all the same direction before they go into the gate. Check that they're all the same direction before you take the film off. So we're going to start from the bottom and the tongue to the top. Now with the infills in, we're going to put on the side. Make sure the plastic inserts go in first. They will only go in one way. always put the foot in loosely first to make sure everything gets located correctly, and then tighten after. I always use an Allen key rather than a drill so that you can feel how tight it is, because a drill can quite easily strip the threads. So now we're going to fit the hinges to the gate. So what I like to do is I'll mark what's the inside of the gate, and that'll just wash off at the end. So the barrel needs to be to the inside, with the bolted piece outward, the slotted piece inward, and the slotted piece needs to kick away from the gate like this. Again, just a loose fit first to make sure everything's located, and then tighten. And then the same on the top. Barrel in, bolt outward, slot inward, slot kicking away from the gate. Missing a washer there.
This is a short video about adding an additional hinge to the DuraPost gate when using urban boards for a maximum recommended 900mm width gate build. Standard installation for the DuraPost gate requires placement of 2 hinges. However, due to the weight of urban boards, 2 hinges may not secure the gate, leading to possible misalignment with the gate post. So DuraPost have provided a mechanism by which a 3rd hinge can be installed for extra strength. A small infill bracket has been designed specifically for this purpose. The bracket simply fits into the hinge side gate frame as shown. The additional hinge can now be secured to the gate frame through the bracket. This will provide extra security to make sure the gate will now remain aligned.
So the hinge is now fitted. I'm going to fit the cap and then measure to this. The caps are ever so slightly handed. One side is smaller than the other. The larger gap goes towards the inside. I always fit the cap first and then measure to the centre of the top slot, which is 140mm, and now I'll measure that 140mm from the top of the slam, and that will tell me where to fit the hinge to the post. Top hinge is now fitted, so I want to hang the gate, so I'm going to put the pin in the top. So the reason I measured to the middle of the slot is to allow for any height adjustment should we need it. So put the pin in. I'm now going to hang the gate. I also measured from hinge to hinge, and I've pre-drilled the bottom, so when I hang the gate, the screw will easily go into the post. So we're now going to hang the gate. When I lift it, hang it on this pin. This is just the way I do it if I'm doing it on my own. It's much easier with 2 men. But this is the 1-man method. The wind isn't helping. And I already have the drill ready. And I've got pre-drilled holes. And there we go. I'll now put the other bolts in, and then it's time to fit the hardware. It's now time to fit the lock. The bottom cover strip has been slid in, lock's in place. I'm now going to pilot drill the 2 holes for the lock and use the stainless screws to fasten it. I'll now fit the top cover strip and the top cap. Make sure the cap is the right way around. Now we're going to fit the barrel. Just need the keys and the long threaded bolt. You may need the lock slackened off slightly to give you the movement that you need. There we are. So in this instance, the cape in the lock is the wrong way around. So you simply pull it, turn it, and it'll go back in. And now we're going to fit the handles. So remove the cover plate. What I like to do is I will fasten the bottom center hole and then pivot the handle to make sure that it is parallel with the side of the gate. Take out the grub screw and fit the key bar. So I've pre-drilled and fastened the bottom center hole. I'll measure the bottom, which is 39 millimeters. I'll then do the same at the top to make sure that the lock is parallel with the gate. So move that to 39. I'll mark that, and now I will pre-drill and fasten the top. I've repeated the process on the inside handle and put in the remaining 4 screws. So I'm now going to fit the cover strip and then the grub screw in the side of the handle. Before I fit the cover strip, I always loosen the barrel to give a little bit of play to make sure it locates okay. And then I like to use something soft. Here I'm using the back of the screwdriver to make sure I don't scratch the cover plate. Just to tap it into place. I've got the grub screw and Allen key here. And now, with the cover strips on, I can refasten the barrel. And there's our gate complete. The gate is now finished. It's now time to fit the cover strips. I'll put that into place. Sometimes you need to bend the lugs a little for it to fit. Then we'll repeat that for the blank plate on the bottom. If there is an instance where your gate isn't quite level, or you have a gap down the side that may be too big, anything like that, the kit comes with 6 of these 1mm shims which fit between the hinge and the gate itself, which will create some space. Very simple to fit. That is our DuraPost aluminium gate complete.